Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind. You notice the level of moisture in the air right now, folks? Well, the reason it's so damp is not because of rain clouds, or really any nature phenomenon or weather phenomenon. The reason it's so damp is due to all the snowflakes melting, mostly from the north, the Great White North, known as the People's Republic of Canada, the Socialist Republic of Canada. Holy frickin' moly. Now, I knew that Tucker Carlson was headed to an event in Edmonton, Alberta, to basically troll the wannabe communist regime of Canada, and we know that his intent was to troll, considering the first video that he released was this.
Thank you for your call. You have reached the media line. For all urgent requests, please send your request by email. Merci pour votre appel. Vous avez atteint la ligne médiatique. Merci beaucoup.
Yes, hi. I couldn't understand the French part, but it's Tucker Carlson calling from the United States, and I'd be grateful if you pass a message on to the Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. We are coming to liberate Canada. We are coming to liberate Canada, and we'll be there soon. Merci.
Obviously a joke. I mean, for the most part, this whole thing is political humor in a way, but also trying to make a serious political point. You know, typical Tucker Carlson just having some fun and poking a little bit of fun. But I don't think Justin Trudeau's Liberal Party sees it the same way that we do, because they are having an absolute furious, insane meltdown. Right-wing political speech is really considered violence in Justin Trudeau's cold hellscape. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. I mean, it's kind of dystopian, but also hilarious. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so Tucker Carlson went pretty much savage mode. Shows up in Alberta, does an event. I think Dr. Jordan Peterson and some other high-profile people were there as well. Tucker stood on the stage and said some words. Ooh, scary stuff.
But the West is now facing a far slyer opponent, which is the feminine expression of fascism, the Chrystia Freeland version of fascism. But her self-esteem was literally unassailable. It was bomb-proof. If a nuclear bomb dropped on your town, you could hide beneath Chrystia Freeland's self-esteem and live. There's like nothing you could do to shake it. Nothing. No amount of evidence of her stupidity and wrong decisions and idiotic views could dissuade her from the core belief that she was awesome and you were not.
It doesn't matter who's in the Prime Minister's office. Your rights remain the same because you were born with them, because you are not a slave, you're a human being, and you have inherent dignity because God made you. That's just a fact. Canada has a lot more violent crime now than it did 20 years ago. Have you noticed? Of course you have. You live here. And if they're telling you you can't defend yourself against that crime, we're going to disarm you, you can't protect your life or your family, and you're like, oh yeah, it's for the public safety. It's just not a big deal. These are weapons of war. No, they're weapons of self-defense, which you need and deserve as a free person, not a slave. I know that in Canada, it's official policy that coming out of the closet is good. Unless you're the Prime Minister. Unleashed in Canada! They literally say diversity is our strength before they open the game. Okay, what does that mean and why is it true? Shut up! No, I'm not gonna shut up. Shut up, racist. No, not going to. Not racist. I'm not going to shut up. Message is, you are bad. I watched when Montreal was cleansed of its Anglo legacy. If they're taking away your voting power by changing the population of your country, which they are doing, and no one wants to talk about that, shut up, racist. That's not racist. Subsidizing the media to the point where all of your big media outlets, which are disgusting, are state media. You should internalize the message of that, which is they hate me. They hate me to the point they're willing to kill me, which they are. You're serving someone other than the people of Canada, if you know what I mean. Hard-edged fascism, actually. And frankly, I'm a little bit more comfortable with the old-fashioned variety. Get rid of these people and everything will be okay.
So your creepy Prime Minister can put on the costumes of other cultures, but he doesn't really understand them. I don't think you're going to do that. Once you hand him your country, it's totally cool. Don't worry, he's a good steward. But he will collapse under the weight of his own ludicrousness and go back to Cuba or do whatever he does.
Story of the day is a man travels north of the border, says words, and then this is what followed.
You brought up Pierre Poilievre's name in your comments. I mean, is this going to be your strategy effectively going forward, is tying Pierre Poilievre to Trump?
He wants to be Prime Minister of this country. What happened last night is not acceptable. Is he going to condemn that? If he wants to run for Prime Minister, he should have the courage to condemn those. It's not acceptable in our country.
So is that going to be your strategy?
People attended, sir. I mean, what do you make of the fact that there is an audience for it and for for their perspective.
Well, as I said in French, the extreme right politics, don't ask the question if it's coming to Canada. It's already here.
Is this gonna...
And they're bringing it.
I mean, this goes beyond me and the fact that I was targeted last night at this event. This increases political violence against everyone who runs for office in this country, whether they're doing it at the municipal level, at the provincial level, or at the federal level.
If your government has been accused,
we're not comparing Poilievre to him. I think what
You're
my
not? Have you looked at your own advertising from
Mr.
your Liberal Party?
What Mr. Rodriguez just said is he said I'm asking Pierre Poilievre, the leader of the opposition, to condemn those hateful and violent statement by Tucker Carlson.
A complete meltdown. The Liberal Party in Canada is pretending as if Tucker Carlson came to incite violence against the Liberal politicians. And then, of course, they immediately politicized the entire thing to attack the Conservative Party, which is currently trouncing them in the polls. And then, of course, they shifted the messaging slightly to use the Tucker Carlson event as a way to gaslight conservatives in the nation and attack the opposition party, attack the Conservative Party, and their leader, Pierre Poilievre, asking on the Conservative leader to condemn Tucker Carlson. Quote, "This is not acceptable in our country," the man said. What's not acceptable? Speech? A private speaking event where people criticize your absolutely awful leader and horrible political party? How utterly insane. You know, this is what people are talking about when they call Justin Trudeau a despot, wannabe dictator. When Joe Rogan is going in on what's happening in Canada, when he talks about how he refuses to do comedy shows there, really refuses to travel there in general.
You live in the frozen communist hole of Canada.
Yeah.
It's cold. You get real cold water.
When's the last time you've been up there?
I don't go up there anymore.
You refuse, right?
Yeah, I just fucking what they've done up there, what they did with the trucker rally, and what Trudeau's doing with guns, and what they're trying to clamp down on censorship on the internet. That guy can eat shit.
You know, this is exactly what he's talking about, this anti-free speech culture, this sort of attempt to control the media, to control narratives, to frame people as extremists and bigots who hold unacceptable views, that's a quote, remember, from the trucker convoy, and to use that as a justification to weaponize the government into silencing political opponents. Justin Trudeau's government is just like the frickin' CCP. When you say something that's offensive to the Chinese regime, this is how they act. Although, let's be honest, they're a little bit more strong-armed, they're a little bit more aggressive and a little more masculine in their approach. I mean, they'll just shut it down. The Trudeau government takes the whiny crybaby approach. Whee! That is all I hear whenever Justin Trudeau reacts or responds to these types of events.
My very first call this year was with Volodymyr Zelensky, who wanted to know that Canada still stood with him, that Canadians still stood with him. And I told him, yes, we do. The Canadian government and most of the parties in the House will continue to stand with him. But Pierre Poilievre and his Conservatives chose to vote against support for Ukraine, calling it a faraway foreign land to appease Putin apologists like Tucker Carlson and those who enable him. But while he does that, we have people like Yvonne Baker and Mark Gerritsen who are showing our Liberal government won't back down when it comes to standing up to bullies and fighting for democracy at home and around the world.
It's always the exact same checklist. Start off, my white supremacy, my unacceptable views. Then, of course, my Ukraine Putin apologist. Yes, Justin Trudeau the next morning thought it would be appropriate to attack the leader of the Conservative Party who is currently trouncing him in the polls by connecting him to Tucker Carlson and therefore jumping to the conclusion that he's a Putin apologist and anti-democracy. It's nothing but gaslight, slander, lie, and then use it as an excuse to attain more power, to grab more power. Claim that it's unacceptable. Apparently, the only thing that's acceptable is staying in line with all of the social regulations of what it means to be a progressive leftist. Challenge the orthodoxy north of the border. And what's the appropriate response? I wonder what the fascist loser Trudeau's gonna do this time. Put Tucker Carlson on some sort of list? Ban him from ever coming into the country? It certainly seems as though they wish they could get away with that now, isn't it? Based on their speech, based on the things that they say. To be seeing fully grown men say stuff like, "This is not acceptable unacceptable in Canada has to be one of the most pathetic sights of all time. He's talking about words that came out of another fellow human being adult male's mouth, warning of the slow march towards communism, warning of some of the authoritarian tendencies. Canadian politicians saying that this is unacceptable in our country. But I question how exactly that's so unacceptable. It seems to me, honestly, it's kind of like a widely held belief, not just in the United States, but also in the EU. Let's not forget how Justin Trudeau was described by multiple EU Parliament members.
Kvazi-liberalne čizme proteklih mjeseci postala simbol kršenja temeljnih ljudskih prava I građanskih sloboda. Za vas su to možda liberalne metode. Međutim, za mnoge građane svijeta to je diktatura najgore vrste.
A prime minister who openly admires the Chinese basic dictatorship, who tramples on fundamental rights by persecuting and criminalizing his own citizens as terrorists just because they dared to stand up to his perverted concept of democracy, should not be allowed to speak in this house at all.
Then we look domestically within the country itself and take a look at how Canadian citizens view their own prime minister. Just take a look at this. Most think that Justin Trudeau should resign in 2024. Majority don't think he will. 7 in 10, 69% of Canadians think Justin Trudeau should step down in 2024. But 6 in 10 don't believe that he will. He obviously won't because he's a complete narcissist. But according to this survey, 70% of the country wants him to leave office. They want him to resign in shame. In other words, they're probably echoing the exact same sentiment that Tucker Carlson and Joe Rogan and those EU parliamentarians feel. They feel the exact same way, yet Justin Trudeau's politicians will tell you that that is an unacceptable view to hold. No wonder the Canadian government is so hellbent on controlling speech online. No wonder they're so scared of supposed American right-wing politics entering their political zeitgeist. No wonder Justin Trudeau works tirelessly to monopolize information and media in his country. What they're scared of is freedom. They're scared of the freedom bug infecting their beautiful state of control. Absolutely pathetic, absolutely telling. Their reaction tells you all that you need to know. I actually can't believe it. A private Tucker Carlson speaking event caused the Canadian government to melt down. You can't make this stuff up, folks. You know, I didn't have this on my 2024 bingo card, but I'm certainly embracing it. What a spectacular event. That's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.